And our new, and I have glowing eyes, here's a franchising. It's 2 p.m. on the Pacific. We're having all kinds of weird things happening, folks. I'm Fred McMurray. I'm with my co-host Ray Pillar and Rebecca Monet. And folks, before I ask you where you are and all that stuff, I'm going to say you've given me enough crap about the hat, so I dealt with it. Out with the old.
Hello, hello.
Oh, oh, is that hat green by any chance? Because it's showing through to the background.
I like the horns.
How's that? Well, you know, it is the Viking hat, so what can I say?
I love it.
So, we're live, and we got all kinds of fun, wonderful stuff happening. So I'm in Shell Beach, where there are no fires, there are no blackouts, and where Ray?
And Ray is, where am I? Oh,
Albuquerque,
New Mexico, where it's a balmy 74 degrees, very balmy, as a matter of fact, because the wind is blowing so hard, it's rocking my coach. But I'm here for the Balloon Festival with the Integra Group, and it's absolutely gorgeous outside, except for the wind. There's not a cloud in the sky anywhere, and you can see for a million miles in every direction. It's absolutely gorgeous out here.
And Rebecca, where are you?
Oh, normally you would catch me in San Diego, but today I'm in Southwest Missouri. I just had a brand new baby girl, so I'm here enjoying her and, of course, spoiling the other 5 grandchildren I have. So I am in Southwest Missouri with family and a million things going on, as you can imagine, with kids in soccer and volleyball and dance and going 90 miles an hour. I'm worn out. That's all I can say is I'm worn out.
So we have 2 guests today, and one of our guests is up in Northern California and dealing with rolling blackouts. Didn't know we'd get the show affected that. So we're going to talk to her first, even though if you're watching video, you see our other guest who isn't being affected by internet blackouts. So, Ray, why don't you introduce our first guest?
All right, I'd like to introduce Tara Gilliland, founder and CEO of Vitality Bowls. Wow, that sounds really interesting. How are you, Tara?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on today, guys. I appreciate you putting up with my little no internet, and I'm sitting here in the dark right now.
So you know what? That's about the way some of our shows go, and actually got most of the audio issues out before the show, so it seems only perfect that we should have somebody in the blackouts. Where are you, and what's the weather like there?
Yeah, so we are in Danville, California. The weather's really windy today, which is why PG&E has rolling blackouts, because they're afraid when it gets really windy that could knock over some poles and start a massive fire. But it's beautiful outside. It's probably in the high 60s, low 70s right now.
Rebecca, as our special co-host womansplainer to Ray and I, go ahead. Your first question. Welcome.
Well, thank you. You know, it's interesting, Tara. I went on your website to get a little feel of who you are and, of course, your husband. And I'm fascinated with what had you go in this direction, because it sounds like it's quite a story, why some such healthy food and why you've grown so fast. So can you tell us a little bit about why Vitality Bowls?
Yeah, so I can't hear you that well, but I think your question was why Vitality Bowls? What made us start? Is that correct?
You got it.
Okay, great. So why Vitality Bowls? Well, I was raised by a super insane health nut mom and dad. And my
Wouldn't that be
husband and
nuts?
I had a daughter. Yeah, about, well, she's going to be 10 in 2 weeks, which is crazy. But she was born with severe food allergies. And we quickly realized that we couldn't just eat at any restaurant. And we were having a lot of problems with just feeding her regular food. I was making all her own baby food at home, blending it, mostly fruits and vegetables. She can eat almost all vegetables, but even a lot of the fruit she was allergic to. And so we started bringing in fruits from other countries that are these amazing superfoods, and she wasn't allergic to them. So we created Vitality Bowls in our kitchen at home, wanting to open a healthy superfood cafe for our daughter, but also because it's all we know. Healthy food was the only option. We wouldn't even consider opening a restaurant that wasn't in the healthy industry. So having a daughter born or any child born with severe life-threatening food allergies is really scary. And we with Maid, lemon, and Vitality. Here we are, almost 9 years later, and we are 75 locations open. We're in comment 7. Just excited that we're bringing our health all community in an safe environment because we get to cater to anybody who has allergies or intolerances and eat food.
Nope, I think we lost Tara.
There's so much going on in California right now. I'm kind of glad I'm in Missouri. The blackouts, the wind, the fires. I mean, it's kind of a crazy place to be. I'm surprised she was able to log in at all.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure she'll try to dial in if she has power and if, she has communications ability. But so that's the way it goes. But I'm here in, like I say, beautiful Albuquerque, and went to the Balloon Festival this morning. I'm just, trying to fill in a little. Can redial in, and it was a beautiful event to watch. Although they couldn't take off because the upper level winds were too strong, but they a lot of them. 5 of them inflated. 500 and some odd were inflated across the entire field, and it was quite a sight to behold.
I bet. Now, were you able to actually get on any of them, or is it purely just for entertainment and the visuals, and you just get to enjoy watching others?
Well, I think you can get on them if you prioritize. I should make an appointment.
Yeah, get on the schedule.
Yeah, get on the schedule. And then again, that's dependent on the weather, because they're not going to take off an unsafe condition. So.
Got it. So it looks like Fred is still trying to get Tara back. He's like a one-armed paper hanger.
Yeah, I think we're the only ones that can hear each other right now. I don't know what's going on. I thought maybe it was on my end.
Oh, Tara, are you back?
I don't know if she can hear us.
Yeah, it looks like she in there. All right.
Well, she's not on Zoom apparently, so.
Yeah, I don't think her internet is working, so she's just on the phone. But I'm not sure what happened with the phone. So, how fun! So the Albuquerque event, is it a full week that you'll be there?
I'm here for just part of it, about 5 days, with a group of other RV owners, and I think they said there was 40 of us, and that means 80 some odd people here, 40 coaches, and 80, 90. So it's a lot of fun. I'm here. I've met recently I got back from a trip in Canada, and with friends up there, Winnipeg Beach, and then into across Lake Superior to Sault St. Marie, and then over the Mac Bridge back in the lower part of it.
Looks like we're back.
Yeah, full circle all over. Yeah, it was a wonderful trip.
Are we back, Fred?
Can you hear?
Muted.
Okay.
You're muted. Oh my goodness.
I think I think this is the most problems we've ever had.
Dustin, what do you think? Is this exciting or what?
Yeah,
I always have, Zoom, Ring Central. I always do these meetings, and there's always a problem. So don't worry.
It's a love-hate relationship with technology, isn't it? I don't know what we did before, but since having it, it seems like life is definitely more complicated. But that's coming from a baby boomer's perspective. So you being young, Dustin, you probably appreciate technology a lot more than I do.
I'm actually very old school. I'm the one. I tell people if I have to write more than one sentence in an email, I'm going to call you. So, I'd rather, I get people, franchise owners, they'll write me like a novel. And I say to them, how long did it take you to write this? And they're like 30 to 40 minutes after I went through and made sure I said what I wanted to say. You could have called me and talked about this for probably 5 minutes. And I could have given you an answer.
Faster and more personal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Fred, if you're waving to us and asking if we can hear you, we can't.
You are on mute, Fred.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. There you go.
Tara, say something.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Tara's back.
Oh, Fred, relax. We'll take it over here. You have a drink. You know what, Tara, you were talking to us about the allergies that your daughter suffered with and how that then forced you to truly take care of her needs to nutritious food, even as making baby food. But what was the mental leap from preparing food for your own family to then taking it to the public, to creating vitality bowls? I don't think she's hearing us.
No. Well, why don't we introduce Dustin until maybe we can get Tara back.
Can you hear me, Tara?
Okay.
You can hear me, right, Ray?
I can hear you.
Okay, so that means it's on that end. Go ahead, talk to Dustin for a while.
Okay. Well, let's introduce him first. Rebecca, did you want to introduce Dustin?
Please, you go ahead, Ray. I don't know Dustin. He's a handsome stranger to me.
Well, I would like to introduce Dustin Distefano. Did I pronounce that correct?
Distefano, it's close.
Distefano. Okay. Okay. And he is the CFE CEO of NorEast Franchise Group. Okay. And that is primarily your primary franchise is a place at home. Is that correct?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, which is a booming industry because of people my age, baby.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about a place at home, and then we can dive into your main franchise, NorEast Franchise Group.
Yeah, so a place at home, we call it Senior Focus Care. It's an in-home care company with more of consulting behind it. So we do care coordination. We help seniors navigate the healthcare spectrum. The best way to put that, the most understandable way to put that, Ray, is if anything that you would do for your mom during like a hospitalization, we handle it for you. That's one part of our services, from getting you out of the hospital, back to home, into a rehab, setting up your meds, et cetera, et cetera. Then providing the in-home care with personal care, companionship, light homemaking services. And then we also help transition mom or dad from home into, say, a memory care or assisted living if home isn't the place that's safest to be. So it's kind of it's a full continuum of care. And that's really what we've been focused on. That's why I call it senior focused care, because it's very senior centric. It's not just in-home care. It's not placement services. It's an all encompassing service.
There seems to be quite a spectrum for senior care, from what you described to actually people there for majority of the day, helping them, driving them, or getting them groceries and things like that. So I think our studio audience probably needs to have a better understanding or definition of what exactly you do. And I know you described it, but as opposed to what some of the other people do in the same spectrum.
You were cutting out a little bit there on me. Are you asking what makes us different than other home care?
Essentially, yes. What makes you different from some of the other senior care type franchises?
Yeah, so it really stems to that continuum of care model, right? So you have in-home care as a standard franchise. There's a lot of them out there, right, who just focus on keeping people at home. We're focused on that, but we're more focused on what's best for the senior, and we will help seniors make their kind of like goals, kind of like a business plan, essentially. It's more of what is your goal long term, and most people will say, I want to stay at home as long as possible. Well, that's all great, but what are the costs associated with that, right? If you need a 24/7 care, say you need 24/7 care, right? This is to help you prepare for later in life. That's $16,000 to $17,000 a month.
Yeah.
For one care. It's all private pay. There's not a payer of services. There's long-term care insurance. There's some VA benefits that will help you with, but ultimately Medicare doesn't pay for the service. Private insurance companies don't pay for the service. It is all out of pocket. So that's not financially sustainable for 98% of the country, right? Mm-hmm. So let's devise a plan. If you want to stay at home as long as possible, and you're to say you have a budget of say $80,000 a year, obviously you can't afford 24/7 care. So what are our solutions? We could look at assisted living. That's $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and you have an extra $30,000 to $40,000 that you could put towards care, so you can have that companionship and one-on-one setting in assisted living. Right. So it's really game planning. And that starts the transitional care, which you guys might know it in the franchise world as placement services, right? There's a lot of placement services in the franchise as well. We used to get marketed by those services a lot. And as a company, we said, why outsource that service when we know all the same people they know, and we know the seniors' finances just as well as they do, except the fact that we're going to have to introduce this person to this placement agency and enter in another company into their lives, right? When you're 98 years old, life's chaos, right? Things move fast. So the more people you
already move fast, so we're
so the more people you enter into the equation, the harder it can get and the more frustrating it gets. So that's what differentiates us, is we can handle it all. And it really flows together. Some people might say, we focus on one thing and be really good at it, right? And that's great. That's awesome. We say we focus on one thing, and that's the senior. And we build our services around them. And so that's what really separates us, I would say.
That's great.
I really like the idea that it is a business plan for the elder, for the senior, that you're looking at move really quickly, and it can get chaotic. And as we age, we don't make decisions as quickly. So it's nice to have someone come alongside and help create a plan for the future that is driven by the senior and what their desires are for that stage of their lives. Really like it.
Thank you.
Just want to jump in here and say I'm really thankful for the listener at the website who's been guiding me on the audio. So you guys have been very interesting, and people are listening at the site besides watching. Thank you.
We can use all the help we can get, Fred.
What I want to franchisee is supposed to read it, although I've talked to a fair number of them that have not. What are the top 3 parts you would recommend somebody read first of an FDD?
Yeah, my first one is a simple one, and it's a quick read for everybody who doesn't read them, which I don't know why you wouldn't read them. It's very transparent. Item 4, any bankruptcies. Like if you got 4 or 5 bankruptcies racked up, there's a lot of problems going on. I mean, that to me is a quick read. You just see that and you'll say, okay, it's clean. Move on to the next one. And the next one I would go to is item 7. I want to know what I'm investing in. And one thing that me and Jared did in our item 7 is we made it as strong as possible. So we have in ours, we have like a 76,000 minimum and a 184 maximum. And I always tell people the 184 is a California franchise. So if you don't live there, don't worry about it. You're probably right in that middle area. But I always like to look at that, because you can also ask questions on that, like why the wider range of spectrum. For example, we have like a marketing clause in there that's like minimum 3,000, maximum 15,000, and it's because we have like SEO packages and AdWord packages. So if you want to get the Cadillac of SEO optimization, search engine optimization and AdWords, and really pound your market right when you come in using your website, I mean, yeah, $5,000, or we can start down here. So that would be number 2. Number 3, obviously, to me is item 19. Mm-hmm. I love item 19s. If you look at our item 19, we talked to our attorney the other day, getting prepared for this year, and we're trying to slim ours down because we literally put like the entire P&L, and it took us, we put 5 years of financial data in there, and my goodness, it took us days to get everything in there, but we're very, very transparent about it, and we're very happy with our item 19. For those that don't have an item 19, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. If you have 600, 800 units, I wouldn't put an item 19 in. I'd just say I have 900 units. What are you questioning? If I had, 20 to 30, I'd want to see it. I'd want to see how they're performing. So those would be my top 3. Quick glances.
Excellent.
They'll go into the post. Go ahead. Whichever one of able co-hosts is going to jump on the next one. Actually, you should break for a commercial.
Oh yeah, that time.
As everyone who's listening at the website knows, you can ask questions and listen at pillarsofranchising.com. You can watch us on YouTube, Periscope, on Facebook, on Vaughn Live, on Twitch, and FC2 Live. And the links are all at the site. You can, in theory, call into 323-580-5755. Ask questions, but I probably said that today. So now, a word from our sponsor. Take it away, TP.
Hey, franchise owners. How's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new move-ins to your local area? At Westvyne, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, and ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvyne.com. That's 805-265-5440 or westvyne with a y.com.
Well, we skipped something because of the way we started the show. We forgot to ask Dustin's location and how's the weather out there where you're at.
Actually, it's cold and rainy. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We had a big storm come through last night. My 4-year-old crawled into bed at 3 a.m. and was scared as thunder. And today is a cold, misty drizzle in like 45 degrees. So
Oh, wow. Wow.
it's
I have some friends in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and they're telling me that it's raining with snow.
yeah, yeah, that's not a good sign when it's this cold already.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the things that came to mind while I was listening to you was you seem to cover quite a lot with your clients. So does that mean the training is very comprehensive and long, or am I wrong?
No, so we're very interactive with our owners. I'd say that's probably the number one. When you do validation calls with us and speak to the owners, they'll tell you that our training is probably the best thing that we do. We bring them here for a week, and I mean we pound them for a full week on how to have conversations, what to look for here, how to talk to, what home health wants to know about us versus what a rehab wants to know about us versus what a hospital wants to know about us. All these different scenarios and situations. It's very, very interactive. But then we take it a step further. So they're here for a week. They go home, and then I actually will travel out there within the first 90 days. I want them to go out there and take what they learn for about 30 to 45 days and get their feet wet, right? And then I'm going to go down there I go down there for about 3-4 days, and then I go marketing with them. That's all. I go out marketing with them. I spend a whole, and then one day I spend in their operation. I watch them do orientation. I look at their hiring packets. I look at how they recruit caregivers. I look at everything, and I provide them feedback. And then I write a full report when I get back, and I say, here's what you got to work on. Here's some things that you're doing really, really well. And then I have a goal setting meeting. I literally sit down and say, where do you want to be after your first year? And where should you be in your first year? And I don't make your goals. Jared doesn't make your goals. I will not ever make your goals, because if I make them, you might not buy into them, or you're going to doubt them. Right? So you make them, and I'll teach you how to get there. Now I have franchise owners who come in. I want to do $2 million in first year. I'm like, cool your jets a little bit, but it's me holding them accountable. And then for the full year after that, we actually have a sales coach who then talks. We have a sales coach who you have a call once a week with the sales coach, and you have a call once a week with an ops coach. So 2 hours to teach to go through your pitfalls. And what we look for are, let's look at your ARs, let's look at your profit and loss, and we really teach them how to run a business. And on the sales, it's how do you market home care, because it is a very heavily sales intensive industry. We got to make sure they're having the right conversations. We got to make sure they're out in the market. One thing with them as well is if I notice that you're in your office more than 20 hours a week, it's time to hire somebody, because it's sucking you in. And if it sucks you in, it's hard to get back out. So that, we have these benchmarks, and we have all these different things to say, this is what you got to do. And they do it, and we hold them accountable. I mean, that's the best part about our system, I think, is the accountability measures.
Oh, I like it. That sounds very comprehensive. I especially like the follow-up that you have, setting goals like that. And that's what every franchise should do.
Yep. We follow the book Traction. There's a little plug.
I was going to ask you about that from the way you're talking.
Yep.
Fabulous program. And what a gift to your franchisees to have that process from day one to grow their businesses. Because I think, especially in your vertical, in the elder care vertical, oftentimes it's a heart business, right? You want to make a difference, you want to help, but it's a business also. So we have to keep that balance where our heart still leads. We want to contribute. We want to make a difference. We want to help that senior, but we also want to build a business and build, a legacy at one point. So I think the Traction program is a great program, and to start it from day one, you get in positive habits at that point. Do you have any pushback at all from your franchisees, or are they absolutely on board to have this kind of accountability and you personally vested in their success?
I wouldn't say we get pushback. I think some buy in faster than others. We just got done with our convention, our first annual convention last 2 weeks ago, actually. All the franchise owners came in. We gave out awards. And, one thing that me and Jared we're very competitive, and we're not participation trophy givers. And, the top performers, I mean, we showcased the top performers. We had a guy who won 3 awards. We had another person who won 3 awards. And then we had the innovator of the year. And the people that won 3 awards follow it to a T. So it's proof in the pudding. It's like, there's no questions asked. This guy engages on social media. This gal engages with their caregivers and has great retention. They're winning awards, they're performing, and they are the top performers. They're following what we put down, and that kind of puts that to bed if they question it. We also do a monthly phone call where we have 5 franchise owners, and our logo's a tree. So we have Team Sassafras, Team Juniper, and we have these teams that are named after trees, where we bring in a couple new franchises, a veteran franchise, and about a middle of the way franchise owner. And we do an EOS meeting. We actually sit there and have them go through their rocks and issues, and all 5 of them work together to work it out. So it's a collaborative franchise. Everyone's in it for everyone's success. That's what we push. There's no individual owners. We're all a team. Even though you own these businesses, if everyone's bought into everyone's success, we can be highly successful, is how we push it. So, I mean, it's been going great.
This collaborative idea that we're, as franchisees, supporting one another, sharing best practices, coming up with ideas, whatever they're doing in this collaborative. You mentioned attraction. Are there other things you're doing to nurture that collaborative partnership, we're in this together kind of culture that you're creating? What are you doing to nurture it?
Yeah, I mean, we do the monthly meetings so that they can get together. We also have a private Facebook group where I'll go on and it's called We Are Care, compassionate, accountable, respectful, and ethical. That's our core values. So we have this private Facebook group where I'll go on and I'll post little conversation starters, or I'll post I can get the system's overall numbers, and I post highlights of people's testimonials. I'll put challenges on there to say who can get 2 to 3 reviews written. I'll send you some Omaha steaks. So I use that tool to really engage them as well, and it keeps them all engaged. Like, if you were to go through our thread, you'll see Natalie and Little Rock cheering on Chris and Rick in Bellevue, Nebraska, and Scottsdale, Arizona, saying to Jerome. I mean, there's a video we did at our convention with Jerome and Alex. These guys started together. They've been together for about a year. They're like brothers. When they were here, they spent the whole time together. So it's just really cool to see that we're putting this together for these people, and these people are really buying into each other.
So I want to quickly say to Keith, Sandy, Don, Pat, Ron, Eileen, and Pam, you got a question? Put it in. They're watching on Facebook. So go ahead, Rebecca, take it away.
Me? I'm going to get to ask another question?
Sure.
Well, I'm just obviously, and I think Ray's feeling the same way, absolutely fascinated with this passion that you have and how you've transferred it to your franchisees, and this culture that has a life all of its own, where we are collaborative and family oriented and cheerleaders and fans of one another, especially since the situations and the clients that your franchisees have to deal with may be some difficult scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to kind of know you have cheerleaders in Kalamazoo wanting you to succeed, and that you can reach out to on Facebook or in these meetings to come up with some ideas or solutions, or at least have someone to talk to. So it's a wonderful culture that you have encouraged here. Obviously, my question is, if you were talking to franchisors or franchisees, what advice would you give other franchisors as it relates to creating a consistent culture like what you've created?
I mean, honestly, it just takes work, and don't make it a flash in the pants. It's um, at our convention, there was one thing that I closed with. I spoke for an hour on our four core measures, and at the end, I said, now you got to put it into practice. You were here all day. You learned from 5 different vendors. Put it into practice. I live by the saying, don't talk about it, be about it. And I think that you got to hold yourself accountable. And culture will slip. I'm very honest with that. Your culture can slip. And if you lose sight, like the littlest details, right? Like you can miss a call with one of my coaches, and then all of a sudden the next week comes and you miss another one, and then you start making these excuses as to why you're missing these things, and then all of a sudden your customer service scores dip because we have customer satisfaction quality index.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they go from always 93 and the best of home care and doing sweet. And all of a sudden you're down to 89 and you make an excuse. Oh, there was a crazy client on that one. Right. And then the next month it goes down. And now all of a sudden all your clients are crazy. You're losing your culture. Right. And if you have franchise, and it's the same thing with franchise owners, right? If your franchise owners are happy one day, and all of a sudden you get one little complaint and one little thing and one little thing, you're losing your culture. It's not that they're being crazy. It's not that it's their fault. It's how do you fix it, and let's keep it up here. It's not easy keeping a culture. It is not, and I'm not perfect at it, and neither is Jared or our team. It's slipped before, but you have to be able to recognize it when it's slipping, respond, and get it back to where it needs to be, and don't make excuses. That's number one in my book. If I don't take excuses, so
this is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
That's probably the number one piece of advice I would get. Don't make excuses and be about it, and don't talk about it.
What great advice.
I love it when people use the F word. That's family.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear because I think the most successful businesses and franchises today create that family culture that's so important. I talk to a lot of people and in franchises, and they're talking about high employee turnover, and a lot of that has to do simply. All you have to do is create that culture that is family. Like, and say hello to your employees whenever you see them, and greet them and ask them how they're doing. How are the kids? Simple as that. But one of the questions you asked us was, what is the typical candidate you're looking for in your franchise? When someone calls you, what would be the typical candidate?
Yeah, the first thing they have to meet the culture. Honestly, I mean, I hate to keep pushing on that, but they have to be able to meet it. And usually we'll know after the first phone call. We ask a simple question: is why are you care? Why are you compassionate, accountable, respectful, and ethical? And most people have a personal story, right? Like Rebecca said earlier, it's a touchy-feely industry. It is a business at the end of the day. So that's the second thing we got to look for is, can you hold yourself accountable? And can you charge? I hate to say, can you charge people, but can you hold yourself accountable and not? It's hard. Again, it's hard for me to formulate, but you got to be able to sell, and you got to be able to collect, and you got to be able to work your ARs, and you got to be able to have hard conversations sometimes with families. And when they give you that, mom's running out of money type of thing, you gotta be able to pinpoint those things. So you gotta have a heart, but you gotta be accountable to yourself. That's number one. The second thing is you gotta be able to take a few black eyes. Someone said earlier, this is a very busy industry, right? You're gonna go into places and not everyone's gonna like you, right? That's sales. Not everyone's gonna like you. You gotta have a backbone. And you got to be able to build relationships and be a community involved and be highly involved in your community. It's a fun job. It's a busy job. It's a busy business because you got to be out there. You got to be the face of your company. It's not a absentee ownership. I'm very clear on that. It is not a big investment group coming to me and saying, "Hey, I want to buy the state of Florida," even though that would look nice. It just would not. It just would not resonate with the people, right? I mean, if you give yourself an example, if Rebecca, you were to interview me for your mom and I'm the owner, and you were to interview someone who's part of an investment group who hired a manager, and that manager not be there in 3 weeks, who more likely are you going to be able to resonate with as a customer?
Oh, yeah. I want to be able to relate to this person. But to your point, Dustin, it's a heart and a head business.
Uh-huh.
And it is easy in this business to think like a missionary, right? And to rescue and to jump into the quicksand and forget that there's a bottom line that has to be paid attention to. And I like that you address that right up front with your franchisees, and you create a program that they get to that point of seeing black quickly, and remind them on a regular basis that this is a heart business. We do care about the seniors, and that is so important, and that's what's going to get us referrals and do all of that thing. But we also are in the business of being in the business. So
Yeah. Speaking of business, we have to go ahead and pay our bills. So we have a commercial coming up.
Thank you, Ray. So, before we hit our second commercial, we will remind our listeners that you can, in theory, listen at 323-580. Call in and either listen or we'll get your question 323-580-5755. Sorry, walking away from the mic there. Or you can listen or comment at pillarsofranchising.com. And you know we're on if you're already watching on Facebook or any of those stuff, so send your message. And now, a word from another sponsor.
Ever wonder how successful business people get educated about franchise business options? The Franchise Consulting Company is a group of over 100 franchise professionals with more than 2,000 years of franchise experience. We help our clients select and investigate franchise companies. And like a realtor, our services are free of charge to you. Our fees are paid by the seller. Reach out to us to learn more and get a free copy of the Franchise MBA, the #1 bestseller and highest reviewed book on Amazon in the franchise category. Our website is thefranchiseconsultingcompany.com, or feel free to call us on 800-321-6072.
Thanks, Nick. We're back. Do want to say that we've got a wonderful deal with Nick, so that you can go to the Pillars of Franchising website, fill out the form, and get one of 3 books, one of them being the Franchise MBA. Here's my copy right there. So remember, pillarsofranchising.com. You can listen, you can chat, you can get free books. Hey, what more could you want with that? Ray, since you took us to commercial, you get to take us back away from commercial.
Oh, okay. Well, before we get into the nuts and bolts of your franchise, I thought it would be nice. Every business, every franchise has an unusual story or humorous thing that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
You tell us any stories on your end? I know in my business we get some pretty funny ones, unusual stories.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. But being that me and Jared started this company in my basement, I was on the ground. I was going out and meeting seniors in a very frail state, and so I experienced a lot. The one that comes to mind that was the funniest is a client that I signed while sitting on the toilet. Yeah. So she was in the bathroom doing her business, and they asked me to go in the bathroom and talk to her. And I said, sure. And went in there and sold her services, signed the paperwork, and started like 3 days later. I would say that was and it was very, like I said, it's a very touchy-feely industry.
Oh yeah.
But it actually, it made me realize that I'm doing stuff for the right. This lady is in a very frail state, and for me to just make my way to me to make myself available for what she needed at that given time was very, very rewarding to me. Although it was pretty funny and a little uncomfortable. It was like a powwow in a bathroom.
But you accommodated her, at that point. So that I can certainly. So one of the, that we get past that, that's pretty funny. But get past that. So what does it take to get into the franchise?
You mean monetarily, like money wise? Well, our initial investment, like I said earlier, is anywhere between 76,000 and 184. We have about 3 territory offerings. How we do it is zip codes and seniors based on how many seniors live in a zip code off U.S. Census Bureau. So we do a 30,000 senior population, which is 65 and older. We do a 60,000. We do and a 90,000 currently. 60,000 I think is very large. We used to do 120, but scaled it down. Just because there's so many people. And the thing about these zip codes is if you look at 5-year projections with the boomers, like 60,000 is going to turn into 90,000 in 5-10 years. I mean, it's crazy. So that's how we structure that. And then you purchase per senior. So a 60,000 franchise, a 60,000 senior franchise is around $48,000 for the franchise fee.
Okay.
And then after that, it's about 48 cents a senior up to 90. So I think the 90 is about 64,000. And then after that, liquid capital, you need in between that 76 and 120. I usually shoot for about 100 to 120. That's the nice thing about this business is you don't need there's no build out. We've been able to open franchises in, 2 months, 3 months, depending on the licensure. The hardest obstacle we have is licensure in the state because every state has regulation. And I'm pretty sure most of you can guess the hard ones. California, New York, you can't get it for 2 years. We're not even offering the franchise in New York. Oregon was pretty tough, but we've already done it. We have a franchise owner in California, so we've already done it. And Colorado is also pretty tough, but we already done that one. Actually, our first 2 franchises we ever developed was Colorado, Los Angeles, and then number 4 was Portland, the 3 hardest states. So me and Jared just said, basically, we'll figure it out. Went in and got it done, and now we know what we're doing over there. So it should be easy peasy.
Wow. And how many franchises do you have?
Currently, we have 9 franchises. We have a few more that are in the development stages right now with Jared. And his job is the development side. My job is the ops side. And that's why I wanted to speak today primarily because I'm the person who takes it on and gets you coached. So with those 9, we have a very ambitious goal for this year. We'd like to be to 25 by the end of 2020. So right in 2021.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Becca, that was Ray's question, so you get to go next.
Yeah, I know this is going to sound a little off center, Dustin, but what I keep seeing in you is this disciplined, gritty, focused guy. So, are you an athlete? Do you come from a coaching background? Because you seem to be ducking water here, where you are able to pull that same kind of grit and tenacity and commitment and focus out of your franchising. What made you primed to be in this role that you're in now?
Yeah, I would say actually I was an athlete through high school. I played football, and then I was 5'9", and I'm not going to college for that. So, and I was slow. I think I ran like a 5'5" 40, and it was done. But I got discipline there. Then I went into college, got a criminal justice degree, and then where I found my grit that I lived in London right after I graduated college, and I got a contract to do sales call or telecommunication sales to small businesses.
Oh my.
This is the Tony Blair, George Bush era, and they hated Americans over there.
Oh
And
no.
literally, when I would sell them, I would just get pounded, and I would flip the script on them every time. Like my goal, I wasn't even there to sell you. My goal was to make you laugh, and if I can make you laugh, then I can sell you. And so that's when I started getting my sales and my grit. And then after that, I came back and I got a job at Enterprise Rent a Car, and I was a manager there. So I got my management background through Enterprise. And if anyone knows Enterprise's system, they drill you. I mean, I washed.
Yeah.
I was in Arizona. I was washing cars in 115 degrees in a suit, for God's sake. And I mean, I went through 4 white shirts a week. It was crazy. Uh,
Wow.
and so I was disciplined there. And actually, the funny thing is, we took the enterprise model and turned it into caregiving. It's they had 4 things: employee retention, customer satisfaction, profit, growth, and profitability. And a place at home is employee retention, satisfaction, customer satisfaction, growth, and profitability. And I have my owners, when they come on, I want you to order those 4 of most important down to the floor, and I listen to what they have to say, and then I tell them how I order it. And we don't have a lot of time, so I won't go through that whole process. But that's how I became systematic. I'm very goal oriented. Like I said, me and Jared aren't trophy or participation trophies. We are grinders. And we tell our franchise owners, if you work hard, you can succeed, and we'll put you on a shrine. Because that's what we want. We want everyone bought into everyone's success so that the whole brand succeeds. And then Coach Scott Frost, I would say I follow him a lot, which is Nebraska's head coach.
Yes. Woohoo.
So,
So you had a few black eyes while you were in London then. So
oh yeah,
this theory that you talk about is business in business you're going to have a few black eyes and you need to be okay with that and you need to stay the course. um, you did it yourself, and then you took these things that you learned through it, very difficult scenarios in London. And just so you know, my grandmother was British, and I
okay.
know the Brits are not easy to humor. It takes a while to make them laugh. So getting them to laugh shows your skills
Yeah,
right there. Very fascinating.
thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what time it is, right, folks?
Is it that for another?
So what we'll do is we'll take another commercial, and then we'll go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, no.
I want to thank everyone for listening, watching on Facebook, chatting at me through text, through the website, BDR. We'll have Tara Gillett back on the show because some of it was us and some of it was power outage and internet. So we'll have back. Now, a word from our last sponsor today.
Zarian Firm International Business Brokers is truly unique in the business resale space. The average business broker uses one standard multiplier across all businesses and industries to value a business. Zarian Firm is the only business brokerage that looks at the 5 factors of distinction in each individual business and values the business using a sophisticated algorithm. This gives our sellers a true value and our buyers a fair price. Zarian gives our sellers the choice of 3 marketing packages based on how quickly they want to sell their business. But all of our businesses sell 33% faster than the standard in all other brokerages.
Zarian Firm International Business Brokers connects premium investors with validated business opportunities. Learn more at ZarianFirm.com. That's ZarianFirm.com.
Back. Not quite sure at this point. Looks like we are, folks. Not sure what's going on. So we'll go down the rabbit hole. people that were worried about zombies?
How often have I walked into a client worried about zombies?
Yeah, or your franchisees.
Well, I don't know about my franchise. I know some of my franchisees are pretty prepared for the zombie apocalypse. And I know the franchisees I would join forces with if there was one. Like Alex is a former Marine. Like he's the guy I'd call upon. When I walk into, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
That without rabbit holing, I guess you would say. But to talk about zombies, I guess I'm prepared for it. I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I think I would survive. I look around like I said, my franchisees, and I know who would survive. I also, my clients are in their 80s and 90s, so I don't think they're scared of zombies at all. That's why I'm having a hard time with this. If a zombie apocalypse hit, they're probably like, well, it sucks to be you guys. I had 80 years on me. So that's the hard part.
We'll give you the offshoot question, which is, if the zombies came busting in your door right now, and you only had whatever was nearest your left hand as a weapon, what would be your weapon?
If what was next to my left hand?
If whatever you can pick up in your left hand.
Right now.
Right now, what would be your weapon?
Probably my microphone. Honestly, this thing is. I would pop someone right in the dome with this thing. This would take the zombie out.
I'll pop on this end too.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's metal. It has little rough edges, so I can probably get in there and dig at
Oh
it.
yeah, he's got a Thor hammer there ready.
Yeah, that would be that. Yeah, for sure. And you guys could hear it loud and clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Ray. You got a last question.
Do I have a last question?
What's your last question?
You asked.
No, we just did zombie and zombie weapons. I'm really kind of, happy here. So go ahead, take us out of the rabbit hole.
Okay. So if someone is interested in your franchise, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, if someone's interested in our franchise, they want to call Jared directly. Our franchise, we have a NAT 800 number, but we want you to call Jared directly at the 402-281-0738, or email him at jared.evanich@aplaceathome.com, aplaceathome, all one word.com, along with a generic franchising at aplaceathome.com. And check out our website, aplaceathome.com. For all our locations, all our information, and we'd love to talk to you guys for sure.
And Fred, all that is going to be posted on our website webpage.
I really hope so, Ray. I really hope
So,
so.
if anybody did have a pen with them, they could just meander over to Pillars of Franchising and get all that information in case they're interested.
Absolutely.
Fill out the form and get you connected. Any last words of wisdom, Rebecca?
No last words of wisdom other than I've really enjoyed this interview with you, Dustin, not just to learn about your concept, but to learn about the heart of it, and the culture of it and the vision of it. It's nice to see that kind of commitment and that kind of passion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's what it takes to.
All right.
I find a shot of bourbon would help too, or at least red wine. So I'm Fred McMurray. Want to thank Dustin of Place at Home today. Thank Tara for at least trying to dial in from the Northern California rolling power outage. I'm Fred McMurray, and we're gonna play our normal outro music that we normally play. At least I hope so.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for using